Welcome back, friends. Going forward with integrated marketing communication planning, last time we discussed up till objectives and with a larger perspective on what should be the thought process related to a plan. Now, I would be drawing your attention towards budgeting. We have talked about that earlier, but just to generate a chord, you see, plan must consider the elements of budgeting, because without having the context of the kind of money which an organization might end up spending, we should not think in terms of, you see, we may be thinking in terms of a very elaborative kind of an integrated marketing communication plan, and it requires lots of cost which we are unable to recover from the sales of the particular kind of products. We should not be doing that, but definitely if we are trying to build up a corporate image, wherein I remember a large organization spent billions of dollars for developing their corporate image while changing their logo and name long back. And there are several examples, historical examples, but that ended up fetching larger clients for them and stockholders value as well. So, you see, budget is a very important aspect, and there are several budgeting methods. We have had a brief discussion about that, percentage of sales, you see, wherein what are our sales parameters and how much percentage of that sales we want to allocate as far as the thing goes. That becomes a guiding force actually, because while making a plan, how to know that what kind of a money we are going to spend. So that becomes a guiding force, that this much percentage of sales we can use or we should be using. So that because ours, for example, is a sales oriented organization actually. But then if you have, I mentioned that last time as well, that if you have larger sales force which is very active on the ground, you might not be thinking in terms of spending lots of money on as far as mass media and the approach goes, because your ground force requires lesser impetus in terms of the messages going directly to the customer. So, they just require a slight support wherein you project the products and then they pursue those products. So, that can also be thought of. And share of market voice, you see, to maintain a market share, you have to exist there, and last time I remember I mentioned Pepsi, Coke and those kind of examples. Just watch those videos and you will get the view. Then response models are there, and then you see objective and task methodology is there. And this is slightly a more common methodology, because as I said, many a times long term integrated marketing communication plans are related to wherein you have a very large and strong position in market in terms of your products, or you want to pursue things that way, or you are going for corporate image and corporate integrated marketing communication planning. But largely in terms of business and in association with revenue, in terms of annual outlay or outlook, you definitely think in terms of objective and task, and that is where things come up as far as that orientation, your orientation towards plan goes. And there are several other strategic approaches wherein you simultaneously want to touch upon several aspects while you are launching a new product, and simultaneously you want to gain the attention of the investors also. So, that orientation can also be followed, and there are other strategic approaches as such. So, you see, budgeting again is important and it is a guide, but what we are focusing upon. So, remember, it is a matter of time. Till when would you like to see people what you are communicating, or hear what you are communicating with them? See, to what extent, how many years you are thinking about. You definitely are planning for a financial period in terms of an integrated marketing communication goes, but this communication, how you are planning for how many years? That definitely depends upon if you want a consistent positioning of a particular kind of a product and you have a very specific target segment fixed in your mind, and you believe that you are going the right way, then definitely you would be thinking in terms of slightly larger kind of period. And we have several products which largely do not change for quite some time, and their messages also do not change for quite some time. and we have long existing campaigns also, and I will be talking about one of those or one or two of those in the subsequent sections also. And then the consideration is to whom? Is it the is it the approach which is related to 1 plus 1, that is you are adding the same kinds of customers 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 up till n, and then you keep on going, wherein you want almost all of those similar category customers, or are thinking in terms of adding one kind of customer and then adding on a different kind of a customer to the same kind of a product? Would you like to think in terms of baby soft products for babies and then their mothers also subsequently? Would you think in those kind of terms? Are you thinking in terms of introducing one food product for a particular kind of customer and then you want to universalize that? Are you thinking in terms of Activa being used by males, females, elders and almost everyone after a particular kind of a stage? Are you thinking that way? Are you thinking about mobile phones to be used by anyone regardless of whatever category of customers they are? So that is where 1 plus 1 plus 2 and adding customers or come in. So and there can be several kinds of such models which you might think of, but your plan must consider that. Remember, even if you are going for 1 plus 1 and if you have 1 plus 2 in mind, then definitely your plan must have a scope for that at this moment. Otherwise, you will not be able to use it when the time comes in, and if the time comes in sooner, then definitely you will not be able to use it anyways. And then there are several products, I would not be mentioning n number of products at this time, just think about it and revert back to me in case of queries related to that. Where is again a very big question. You see, in today's globalized world, where specific regions, or for example tourism, I mentioned about tourist packages, and you see today people go anywhere if given a chance. So inviting Indians to see Europe or Europeans to see India, so definitely you have to think in terms of that thing basically. Computer software, where are they being produced, developed, produced and then distributed, and who is using them at this particular kind of a moment, you never know. So, whole lot of a globalized world is there, and communication must be considering, IMC plan must consider all these elements. With what perspective? The context of message, positioning which is related to comparison and competition, what kind of a competition, and which organization or product you acknowledge as your competition. That is, for example, a toy company, what kind of a competition do they have in terms of young children? Do they have competition from the virtual toys as well? Yes, they might have. Do they have competition from the books which children like to read? Yes, they might have, because you see, playing with toys utilizes time. Now that time can get divided into so many things basically, for example outdoor games. Now there can be a different kind of a competition which these organizations might face, and your integrated marketing communication plan must consider all these things in terms of while thinking about such kind of a competition. So that is what precisely where I want to draw your attention to. Now let us take an example in terms of objective and task budgeting with reference to implementation at large. You see, because we have been talking of integrated marketing communication planning, and we have mentioned objective and task as a very favorite kind of a methodology. I do not say that it is used by all, but definitely. So let's talk about it with implementation perspective for a very short while. Now you see, this talks about determining cost based on build up analysis, that is production costs, ancillary costs, other promotion and integrated brand promotion costs, reach, frequency, time frame and media and so on. So while you are considering all the costs, you want to recover those costs from the objective materialized at the end of the integrated marketing communication. For example, you want to promote the sales, and I have been mentioning that Diwali season is coming and several organizations, they are going for enhanced production just for this coming season, and there they are going for integrated marketing communication planning for this specific season. They might have developed that plan earlier or recently, whichever way they are thinking in terms of this kind of a methodology. Not only sweet or chocolate manufacturers, not only beverage manufacturers, cloth manufacturers, Amazon on the other way, and Walmart, Flipkart on the other side. So everyone is thinking in that kind of terms, and full page advertisements in newspapers, on television, internet. You just click on and whichever social media you are using at this moment, you will find several kinds of advertisements coming your way. So that is where objective and task perspective with implementation reference comes to you. Just think about this, list down these elements, put a cost there, and then associate the costs with any example you have in mind in terms of the revenue it might generate, and then look at the percentage which this cost would consume, and you would realize what I am saying. So you see, this is how it goes: comparing costs against industry and corporate benchmarks, reconciling and modifying the budget, and determining the time frame for payout. That is precisely what we talked about just now. So now I would be switching over towards situation analysis. Remember that chart wherein we talked about this document, integrated marketing communication plan document encompasses situation analysis. Now situation analysis has multiple facets. I will be talking and touching upon several kinds of facets during this section, but let us again take a side, take a view. Let us talk about or let us take the reference of Patanjali. Let us imagine some automotive company, you can choose any to talk about that, a coaching institution, whichever is your favorite, and then a university. Naming universities is a sensitive aspect because most of you belong to this age group of university students, or you would have attended, or you are thinking in terms of attending that. So I would not take any categorization on that, but you may imagine your institution as well. Now let us look at first the perspective of under situation analysis. Let us look at organizational analysis. Now you see, what are the company's sales and profits existing and what they are looking for. Look at all the 4 examples. Look at some for example, a car manufacturer, a high end car manufacturer, or let us say a mass car manufacturer, or let us say a two-wheeler manufacturer, and you see what they are looking for in terms of as far as their sales and profits in times to come. So that is where the first element comes in, because that has to be accompanied, and I have mentioned about production capacity as well. So we consider that if they are going for larger kinds of sales and profits, so they have that production capacity with them. What is the company's mission and objectives in general and for its various products and services? Would they like to pursue one kind of a model for a large number of audience, as I said, 1+1? For example, Splendor became a very large selling motorbike, and they served millions of customers. Hero Motors and Hero Honda at that time, now Hero Motors, they thought about that earlier, and then they came up with that kind of an integrated marketing communication plan which supported Splendor for a number of years. And remember, Splendor actually touched upon youth earlier, then the early career oriented segment, and then family, small family, and then a young person caring for his mother, and so on. There were several storyboards, but it did very well. There was a beautiful campaign by Hero, by the advertising agency of Hero Honda, CD 100, I remember, fill it, shut it, forget it. Now, that was the campaign which did exceptionally well in terms of projecting the mileage given by that motorbike, and for the first time India became conscious of mileage. After that, India has never come out of that situation, although many manufacturers are not promoting that anyways, but that wrote a different kind of a history. So you see, that is what organizational analysis gives us. What financial, technological and managerial resources are available. the earlier situation in India was, especially in automotive sector, was all driven by joint ventures. Today we have Indian manufacturers who are independently doing many things actually, and we are talking of automotive space. Same things can be thought about in terms of coaching institution, for example. For past one session, it is one of my favorite examples, because this is a season wherein I am finding so many advertisements out of coaching institutions coming up, and people are beelining because this is the season of admissions going on in India, and then several entrance exams have been completed recently. People are now thinking in terms of choosing institutions and institutions choosing people, so students. So coaching institutions, again, what kind of sales and profit targets they have, or what kind of mission objectives they do have, and look at the universities as well. And universities cannot be called as profit making organizations because they are registered under different kinds of organizational setups, but still revenue is one of the considerations. And leave aside that, integrated marketing communication is definitely there because they want to develop their brand. Have you seen universities and institutions advertising about different kinds of courses, inviting students prospectively? One strange question comes to my mind sometimes, and I would not be answering that because I want you to think about that. Why do every coaching institution and university and institution, they advertise just before admission season? Logic says that they want admissions, but why don't they think of advertising much before that? Would it lose the attention of as far as or the memory of the prospective entrants, or is there some other reason, or they want to come all together against each other, pitching oneself against the other basically? Are there all of these reasons or some other reason? And if they do consider thinking in terms of an integrated marketing communication plan which is for whole of the year round, is it going to help them? How far it is going to help them? And should they be thinking in terms of recovering all the costs from the admission fees, or should they be thinking in terms of building up their brand image and bringing in funding at a larger level in terms of research and so on? Would integrated marketing communication help them there or no? It is for you to decide. So, you see, again there is another element. What have been the results of previous campaigns? How effective have they been and why? And then there is another element of situation analysis that is related to competitors analysis. Who are direct and indirect competitors of the brand? I have mentioned about this when I have talked about in terms of comparison, and who are the direct and indirect competitors also is related to the fact that what is your reach. From India you are targeting where, and from where you are targeting India. What resources do they have, your competitors? What resources do they have? If they are not so efficient in terms of reaching out to all the media, you can. And that is why I named Patanjali, because Patanjali not only became a strong contender in terms of consumer products, they also came aggressively in terms of integrated marketing communication planning, wherein they went for larger budget spend and reaching out to the market and became a strong competitor while increasing their sales graph. And definitely they built up and lifted their brand image and so on. So, what are the real and perceived distinctions between the brands? How do you look at it? So, you see, when you look at coachings or universities they try to position themselves differently, unique faculty, unique infrastructure, unique courses. Coaching institutions, they put up faculty and selection criteria. Patanjali puts up what? Ayurveda, yoga, which no consumer company put so aggressively. I would not say none of them did, but they did not so aggressively. Patanjali focused upon that, and that is where they are growing faster. Comparatively, others are also doing well. Now, what have been the competitors' marketing communication in the past? That should be focused upon. That should be focused upon. How they have been actually, doing, because you want to look at their orientation, and I have talked about philosophy, orientation and those kind of elements earlier as well. What do we expect the competitors to do in future? You do competitors integrated marketing communication analysis while looking at their communication, but they might put up a surprise in front of you. They might change almost everything they have in mind. They might have thought of, repositioning themselves entirely. If they are doing that and they are so, aggressive on that, and they have not given you the time to think, then it would be a sheer surprise. But your plan should have all the considerations in mind. Your plan should be looking into their retrospectively into their communication, assuming that their future communication would be in the line, and reasoning, putting up a reason for that. While thinking in terms of that, if somehow they change it, how would they go ahead? And then comes in consumers analysis. Now again, after organizational analysis, competitors analysis, consumer analysis, who are the customers and consumers? That is always a basic question. We have been talking of target and segmentation and those kind of elements, and we have devoted lots of time on consumer behavior analysis. So I would not spend much of a time here, but we have to think in, you see, at this moment we are writing it, we are putting it on the paper. So we have to put the type of consumer on the paper. We have to broadly identify that consumer, and specific products which are producing for, very niche kind of products, they even name their consumers or assume that this is the person who is going to buy my product. There are such kind of products manufactured in this world, and we all know that. So, although much beyond my reach individually, but what are our customer profiles? Then what motivates them to buy and consume? It is a basic question, we have been talking about it. What are their buying and using habits, buyer behavior? Just to mention, and just please revert back to those videos which we talked about in terms of consumer behavior, and how do they respond to our competitors' offerings, why would they come to us? Because ultimately integrated marketing communication is all about generating recall, pursuing the consumer and generating customer loyalty, and that is where we talked about the relationship of IMC with brand image, brand equity at the end of the day. What are their buying and consumption patterns? Marketing research is continuously accompanying us. We devoted a particular section on integrated marketing communication research, and I wish for you to look into those videos and try to find out that how we actually try to tap that. That learning becomes the part of IMC planning. That is, what do they look for in the brand? What are their brand perceptions? Again, same thing should, you see, whatever we have been thinking in terms of integrated marketing communication research, or whatever have been the outcomes, whatever have been our understanding, we must now put those results in front of us for our usage, for implementation. Then comes in market analysis. What is the sales distribution pattern? What our retailers would think? How well they would be able to support us? How well they would be participating in pursuing our message with the customer on the ground? Would they feel supported, or would they just feel out of place? What is going to be the effect as far as their role goes? What geographic areas warrant specific attention? Now that is where media planning also comes in when we talk of integrated marketing communication plan goes, and I would be devoting a specific section on media plan, wherein, you see, do we want to focus on areas which are not doing well for us in terms of spending lots of money there, or we do not want to do that, because it would be wise if we focus upon the areas which are doing well for us. But if we do not spend money for those areas which are not doing well for us, how we are going to put up a space there? How we are going to enhance our footprint over there? So these are paradoxical questions which have to be addressed by integrated marketing communication plan. Should we go by slight deviation of the budget? Should we go by specific aggressive spurt in those areas and come back to our fort because our fort is secured? So, we should be focusing more on where we are not winning. What should we do? What population segments are most likely to respond to the company in terms of, when I talked about adding on to customers, what are the market opportunities? And when we talk of market opportunities, we are not just mentioning about in terms of what kind of products we are carrying. For example, we are pursuing product line changes. We want some additions in terms of the product line or even the product width. We may think in terms of utilizing the present plan for laying the foregrounds for the products to be introduced in due course of time, or let us say another separate product line which we want to initiate in due course of time. So, can we think of that? Our plan and market analysis related to that plan must consider that. It many a times it happens very commonly in consumer products, but in durables also people have started doing that. What significant changes are taking place with regard to political, regulatory, economic, social and technological forces, and this is all about marketing environment. We must consider the elements of marketing environment while thinking in terms of integrated marketing communication plan. Social elements, is society changing rapidly? Should we be going for a storyboard which carries the same message with different perspectives to so many kinds of audience all through? Should we be doing that? You see, there are n number of questions, but believe me, we must answer all of those, and if we become habitual of answering all of those questions altogether in due course of time, we keep on improving our planning capacity, and that actually enables us to create a larger footprint. And just to mention, there are hundreds of success stories related to the efficiency of plan they followed actually. So, then comes in product analysis, and here you have, does the product have the ability to give consumers what they want? So, that again, you see, all these are elements which have to accompany us, because now the product team is also suggesting us something, the marketing research team is also suggesting us something, integrated marketing communication team is also suggesting us something, and then that is where the structuralization of the plan is coming our way. Does the product's total offering promise to deliver or address what consumers want? Does the delivery of the product match consumers' expectations? Is it doing well? Would it do well? And again, I would not take, there are several automotive failures which have taken place in recent times, there are several consumer product failures. There have been products which have been existing for a very long time, and if I talk about India, there have been very, for example, there can be several consumer products in terms of detergents, breakfast cereals, they have been existing, they have been doing okay, but not so well. So, would have if we would have considered these elements, I am not saying they are not intelligent enough to know this, but again the point is, this is a part of planning. Are there production and distribution issues affecting the availability of the product, and so on. So, these are considerations which we will be focusing upon in terms of as far as structuralizing the plan, and when we talk of product analysis, it is definitely it gets emanated from market analysis and so on. So, now I rest the case here in terms of situation analysis. There can be several elements which further may be included in terms of situation analysis, because situation analysis is something which connects you to everything else along with your present and motivates you to think in terms of the steps you would be taking. With this kind of a thought, I say goodbye for now, and I will be joining you in the next session with the strategic perspective of integrated marketing communication plan. Goodbye, thank you.